Okay, guys, so we talked about the Articles of Confederation some yesterday. We're going to talk about a little bit more, kind of go over those concepts again, and get into Shays' Rebellion. And then tomorrow we will talk about the Constitutional Convention. So trying to keep it very short, but wanted to go over how to do the notes with you and to help you out on those. This is the document that will be assigned in your class. And then you have the ability to type. You can add a text box. Right in here, All right, so you need to say the powers of the Articles of Confederation. So if you follow this link, you can read about it. If you watch me do notes, you might get some answers, so maybe watch the notes. Okay, so the first thing it wants to do is talk about the powers of the Articles of Confederation. So they did create a Congress. And with that Congress, they gave them the power to declare war, to appoint military officers. However, remember, they do not have their own military. They can only use the state militias. They can sign treaties. They can make alliances with foreign countries, even though I'm not sure many foreign countries wanted to make an alliance, based on the fact that they weren't strong enough to follow through with anything they said. They could appoint foreign ambassadors, which means someone that goes to another country and lives there and tries to promote your own country's ideals. They could manage Native American issues or tribes or relations. And let's see, they also are over the post office. So those are your major powers of the Articles of Confederation. We can make that a little bigger because that's kind of small. All right, so same thing we're going to do down here. There's already a text box, so that's perfect. You're welcome to read these. To be honest, it was much easier to text the information and look it up on Google. So the Land Ordinance of 1785, shortly summarized, established how settlers could purchase land in territories. So places that were not yet states, what could they do to get farmland in those areas? This will be good until I think about 1862, and they make some new laws. The Northwest Ordinance of 1787 is going to decide how to admit new states to the Union and give the territories a Bill of Rights. So even though they're not states, they felt like each territory should have a Bill of Rights. So just like that over here, we have this. I'm going to give you the weaknesses. It was very simple to find in the link, so I really would follow the link here, and then you can explain why it's a weakness. So first weakness they give you is states act slowly. So it took about 5 years before they could agree to any kind of government, and Maryland was a holdout because they wanted more land and to work out some deals with Virginia. It designed a weak central government on purpose. So like what I was saying yesterday, I'm not sure I got that right, but that's okay. The central government is where your national government is, so your president and all of that today. They made this very weak with just a Congress. And that was on purpose because they were scared to have a king again. Congress, only one chamber, one vote per state. So that's not a whole lot. That means if one state doesn't like the other state proposing it, that's going to be a problem. 9 of 13 states were required to pass anything. Practically impossible to amend. So it took all 13 agreeing to the amendment. An amendment would be a change to the articles, and they did not agree. States could conduct their own foreign policy, so states could also deal with foreign countries. States had their own money. We mentioned that yesterday. That would be hard. Go to a different state, couldn't buy anything. They couldn't collect taxes. The Revolutionary War created debt. They couldn't tax to get that paid off. Fix that E real fast. And then Shays' Rebellion, and he was not actually the leader of the entire concept, but he was one of the leaders, and so it gets named after him. So you need to go in now and give me why it was a weakness. So that's going to be on you. I feel like I gave you 75% of that page. All right, so this one's very simple. You're going to follow the link. You're going to go and put those 5 weaknesses in there. It's a video, like I said, very easy. Just watch the guy do his video and explain it. And then you're going to come down to Shays' Rebellion. So we have the causes of Shays' Rebellion. I'm just going to make a new text box in here because that one just kind of bothers me, to be honest. Okay, so if you've watched the videos, you know that the farmers who fought in the war were now suffering from high debt, local sheriffs will seize farms to get their money back, or the state's money back, and some farmers are put in prison if they can't pay this money back. So then on top of that, Massachusetts, which is where this takes place, but there were other rebellions along the way, raises taxes. So not only do they have debt on their farm that they owe, and their farm gets repossessed, they also end up in prison. They also have higher taxes now. None of this works in their favor. So, explanation, it's an uprising of former military leaders. And militia officer Daniel Shay. So these guys were all just trained in how to win a war, and now they're in debt and being arrested. So they decide they're going to fight back. This is in western Massachusetts in 1786. The rebels were mainly blocking courthouses. They were doing other things, but to block the courthouse meant that no one could go in and be tried for not paying back their debt. So Shay led a group of 600 to block Springfield's courthouse. Later, he will lead a raid on the Springfield Arsenal. It's really small. All right. So the arsenal would be where all the money is housed. And I mean, not money. Well, there were probably some money and records there, but there was where all the weapons are housed. And so if you take the arsenal, you will have obviously more weapons, I believe records are also held there. So if they got in, took over, they would also get all the records of farmers' debt and everything else. So the effect. Well, some of the rebels died. They were arrested. They lost freedoms, so they were no longer allowed to run for office or to do different things within their state. Taxes, however, will be cut, and debt will be lowered. It gives fuel, meaning it helps support the concepts to the Federalists. Federalists are people who want a strong government. So as we go into our next section on the Constitution, you're going to hear about the Federalists and Anti-Federalists, and the Federalists will want a strong central government, not a weak one. Anti-Federalists are still against a strong central government, but they will get the strong central government plus our Bill of Rights, which gives us some freedoms. But this also will convince founding fathers like George Washington to come out of retirement and attend what will be called the Constitutional Convention. It won't get called that right away because that would be another act of treason. So this will be called the Constitutional Convention later on after they've written the Constitution and everything is signed. So right away it's just called a meeting. They believe that people are told that they are just trying to fix the Articles of Confederation, and instead of fixing them, they're going to toss them out and they are going to write a constitution. So we'll talk about the Constitutional Convention tomorrow. Watch your Edpuzzle episode on Shays Rebellion and fill in these notes and submit them back in. Have a great day.